e-learning course is about strategies for disease control in organic palm fruit pear. In a questionnaire and in a workshop, we determined with fruit growers, researchers, and advisors the major diseases in organic pear growing in Europe. These are pear scab, Venturia pyrina, Fireblight, Erwinia amylovora, blossom blast of pear, Pseudomonas syringae, brown spot of pear, Stemphylium vesicarium, and European canker, Neonectria ditissima. Fireblight and European canker can also occur on apple. Pear scab, Venturia pyrina, its host plant is pear spec, all kinds of pears. The big difference between apple and pear scab is that scab on pear can also infect twigs. We call it twig scab. In twig scab, conidia are formed. In spring, from start of bud break, when twig scab is in the orchard, as well as spores, conidia are present in the orchard and can infect leaves, fruits, and young green shoots. When we look at the life cycle, then we see in autumn the leaves have dropped and are on the soil. The fungus overwinters in the fallen leaves and also in the infected twigs. In spring, ascospores are formed and they are released during rainy periods and can infect leaves, young fruits, and young twigs. In the infected twigs, conidia are formed in spring, and they can also infect all parts of the pear. When lesions are formed, then secondary infection occurs, and this is all conidia. Symptoms and damage of pear scab. On the leaves, light olive green spots are formed, mostly on the underside of the leaves. They are not always good visible. On the growing fruits, discolored or necrotic spots are formed, and they can make significant deformations. And when small fruits are infested, they can drop out. On ripening fruits, we see a discoloring of the affected tissue. We see surface lesions and blackish spots. Fruit in storage, it can seem that they are free of scab when they go into the storage, but when they ripen, tiny blackish spots on the entire surface of the fruit can be formed. Twig scab. The first year nothing is visible, but in the second year we see lesions on the twigs. They break open in spring and a layer of conidia are laying beneath the surface. The direct damage is fruit drop and deformation and a lower quality of the fruit. Indirect damage is loss of photosynthetic capacity of the leaves and, in the end, death of the trees due to leaf fall and dying shoots. The monitoring of leaf scab can be done through the release of ascospores. They can be trapped. Monitoring of twig lesions is a bit more difficult. Conidias are not so easily trapped. We can use prediction models to assess the infection risk and support farmers to optimize the timing of direct scab control in the field. There is a lot of available software in different models. But all models are not specific for pear. So, when twig scab is there, you should look at secondary infections of apple from start of the season. This is important when twig scab is there. The management of pear scab, the basis are the preventive measures. The use of less susceptible varieties like Xenia, and in contradiction to apple, no resistant genes are known for pear. Use an open tree to reduce leaf wetness period and reduce the germination of the spores. And it's very important not to wet the leaves too much, so use drip irrigation instead of overhead irrigation. Growth regulation is important to limit the growth and not to have too long in the season growing parts, young leaves, young shoots in the orchard. And although ascospores and conidia are in the orchard when thick scab is there, it is very important to reduce the amount of ascospores in spring. The reduction of the inoculum can be done through degradation of the fallen leaves during autumn. It can be done by removal or by shredding of the leaves. And when vinasse is applied at the moment of leaf drop, it stimulates the degradation of the leaves and diminishes also the amount of ascospores that are formed. In the pictures you can see how leaves can be brushed on the grass, then they are removed and can be composted, and the rest of the leaves that is still there, earthworm can handle. The direct control of scab, of pear scab, can be done by preventive treatments which are done before rainfall on dry leaves. Susceptible varieties should always be treated before rainfall from green tip till beginning of June, the primary infection period. And when allowed, copper or sulfur can be used for these direct control measurements. A stop treatment is in an early infection phase, 0 to 180 degree hours, during the spore germination on wet leaves. It's based on forecasting models like Rimpo or FoodWeb, or you can do it yourself by calculating degree hours. That is the average temperature from the start of rainfall for the hours of wetting. These calculations are also used in the forecasting models. The products are lime sulfur or sulfur. Then it's possible to have a curative treatment, 180 till 350 degree hours. It can be used on dry or wettish leaves. No drop off. The products which can be used are bicarbonates, which can be mixed with sulfur, which strengthens the effect. Fireblight. Fireblight is the second disease. The life cycle is overwintering in the margins of old cankers. The primary infection by the bacteria can be a blossom infection or a shoot infection. A blossom infection, the bacteria colonize the flowers. The infected flowers shrivel and they become dark-colored and die. The shoot infection, the infected shoot can die back. In these infections, bacteria are formed and they form the secondary infections, which can be spread by exudates, by rain, or by insects. The host plants are apple, pear, quince, mountain ash, and a lot of other shrubs and trees. Symptoms and damage of fireblight. It can be observed in all above ground tissues, including blossoms, fruit shoots, and rootstocks. When the flower clusters are infected, the infection can be first observed 1 to 2 weeks after petals fall. The floral receptacle, ovary, and pedunculus become water-soaked and dull grayish-green in appearance. Later, these tissues shrivel and turn brown to black. And during periods of high humidity, small droplets of bacterial ooze form on water-soaked and discolored tissues. Ooze droplets are initially creamy white, but later they become amber-tinted as they age. Symptoms and damage of fireblight on leaves and young shoots. Leaves on diseased shoots often show blackening along the midrib, and veins are becoming fully necrotic. Numerous diseased shoots give a tree apparent, blighted appearance. The bark infections initiated in blossoms and shoots can continue to expand both up and down larger branches and limbs. Bark on younger branches become darkened and water-soaked. Wood under the bark will show streaked brown to black discolorations. At advanced stages, cracks will develop in the bark and the surface will be sunken slightly. And there can also form an amber-colored bacterial ooze, which is mixed with plant sap, and this can be present on the bark and infect other shoots. Monitoring and management. Monitoring. Forecast models can predict infections, but they focus only on infections during flowering. A test kit for Fireblight is available, and it can be determined whether the infestation is Fireblight or another disease. It is very easy to use. A droplet of ooze is on the test kit, and when 2 stripes are there, it's Fireblight. Preventive measures: use less susceptible cultivars, eliminate the infected plant parts or infected whole trees during the season, and remove the cankers during winter. It is very important to carefully disinfect the cutting tools to avoid spreading, because the bacteria are spreaded very easily. Remove secondary flowers. Do not plant too late in spring, because desto later in the year, desto warmer and more humid the climate can become, and infections are more easily. Control the surroundings, wild plants or other hosts, whether Fireblight is there. Direct control can be done with the antagonist Aureobasidium pullulans, which is in Blossom Protect, or with copper-based products when allowed. Pear blossom blast and dieback is an important disease in pear. It's also called Pseudomonas. Pseudomonas can occur on a lot of other plants, but also on pear it can give a lot of damage. The susceptibility varies between cultivars. Xenia is very susceptible and Conference is medium. It's mainly a problem during wet, cold conditions around bloom. It can also occur in wet and warm summers, like we have seen in Austria in summer 2021. In spring, the infections occur via blossom. The blossoms can die, the whole clusters can die, and also the shoots can die. Infection on pears is to see as necrotic lesions. The management: use preventive measures. No overcrown irrigation when not necessary. Overcrown irrigation only in case of frost protection. Prune away infected parts. Direct control: protect the bloom during cold weather circumstances. This can be done by copper products during bloom, before and after, under cold weather conditions, 2 or 3 sprays in spring. Alternative products are Blossom Protect, Bacillus subtilis, and Bacillus abylovivaciens. Brown spot of pear, Stemphylium vesicarium. Its host plants are pear speck and many other plants. It can occur on a lot of other plants and give spots on the leaves and on some fruits. It is a regional problem. In the Netherlands, when a farmer converts to organic and he had a Stemphylium before conversion, after conversion the problem vanishes. In Italy it is a big problem also on organic farms. The infections start after bloom. An overhead irrigation stimulates the disease. The severity varies from year to year, but also to cultivar susceptibility. The occurrence is erratic. It's not to predict whether the disease each year is on the same place or the same orchard. The infection is caused by at least 2 host-specific toxins released by spores during their germination. Brown spot of pear, the life cycle. It has a parasitic phase on pear. It's called Stemphylium vesicarium. And it has a saprophytic phase on organic material, and that is called Pleospora alii. And the overwintering is in the saprophytic phase on dead leaves or orchard grass, like you can see in the picture right under. Susceptibility of the trees, that depends on condition of the tree. A stress situation makes the tree susceptible. It depends on variety and on the vigor of the tree. And most susceptible are Abate Vetel, Conference, Pear Bosque or Kaiser, and more resistant is the Williams group. And the susceptibility is also dependent on the type of soil conditions, rootstock, and the dense stands influence susceptibility. Symptoms and damage of brown spot of pear. Actually, there are brown spots on each part of the pear tree. You see on the left-hand side, you see brown spots on the leaves. In the middle left, you see brown spots on pear. And there can also be brown spots on the twigs. And when there is a severe infestation, the infected pears can fall on the soil. Monitoring and management of brown spot of pear. In the monitoring, prediction models are used to assess the infection risk, and there are different available softwares like Rimpro, Stemphy, BSP-Cast and BSP-Spore. The preventive measures are a healthy soil with a good soil life, vigorous trees without stress, no overcrown irrigation, and soil tilling to eliminate the orchard grass between the row and under the trees. A direct control is possible with preventive sprays before or during an infectious rain with lime sulfur, when lime sulfur is allowed in your country, with copper-based products after bloom, alone or in a mixture with natrium bicarbonate, when both of them are allowed, and trichoderma applied before humid conditions to the orchard grass in autumn and in spring during the growing season. European canker on pear, Neonectria ditissima. Host plants of European canker are apple, pear, and a wide range of broad-leaved forest trees. European canker is mainly a problem in the northern regions with a mild and humid climate, like the Netherlands, Belgium, northern Germany, Denmark, and the Scandinavian countries. The fungus attacks trees in the orchard, and it causes cankers and dieback of young shoots, resulting in loss of fruiting wood and increasing pruning costs. The type of soil and the soil conditions and dense stands influence the susceptibility of the tree for fruit canker. The severity varies from year to year, but we see that it's increasing, also special on pear. The severity varies also to cultivar susceptibility and growing circumstances. European canker. The life cycle. There are 2 types of spores produced, conidia and ascospores. The conidia are produced throughout the vegetation period, and they are released by rain and distributed by rain splash and rain runoff. The ascospores are formed in autumn, and they are distributed by wind or by rain splash or runoff. They are distributed also further away from the source as the conidia are. The main infection period is with the ascospores in autumn at harvest and leaf fall, when there are wounds in the orchard which can be infested. And the infection of autumn are visible in spring. They are not visible in autumn already, but they wait a winter and are visible in spring. Symptoms and damage. On the trunk you see sunken spots and a patchy bark dieback. The wound callus is formed on the edges of the wound. On the branches, you can see that the infections are initiated in autumn on shoots, but they are visible in spring, and mostly they are visible when young shoots are infected. There are sunken spots on the shoots, and they are capping nutrients, so above the affected area the shoot dies. In fruit, rotten spots around the calyx are seen via blossom infection, and black-colored dry rotten areas on the fruit, and they can be seen in the orchard, but late infection appears later in storage, and you see them less on pear than on apple. Monitoring and management of European canker. The monitoring is done by forecast models like RIMPRO. Preventive measures. There are less susceptible cultivars. It's very important to have healthy trees from the nursery. A healthy soil with a good soil life, no flooding of water, because that's very important that the trees, that the roots can be free of water. Vigorous trees without stress and not too much growth. And use root pruning to limit the growth. Restricted fertilization, not too much fertilizers. The young trees with stem infections should be removed. They cannot get healthy anymore. Cut away the infected spots on the stem, and repeatedly pruning is important to take away the infected branches in winter, pre-flowering and after flowering until the end of June. Avoid unnecessary wounds, which are through poles or thread rubbing. Infections can occur. Direct control is by covering wounds in autumn, and it can be done by copper sprays in autumn when it is allowed, but we rather not use copper in autumn because the leaf decomposition will be limited. The earthworms don't like leaves with copper on it. You can use milk of lime, calcium hydroxide in autumn. It can be used via spraying or via over-crown irrigation. Calcium hydroxide is a basic substance in Europe and can be used in all countries. Thank you for attending the e-learning course for strategies of disease control in Pear.